Is Robert Scribbler with my first episode, the beta episode of the OBX Wave Report. So welcome to the first episode. We are going to be doing this episode every morning around 9 a.m. Some mornings it might be later, some mornings it might be earlier for various purposes. I am not reporting live on location in the Outer Banks at the moment, but we will be moving to the Outer Banks. So this is kind of a beta wave report. So welcome to the first wave report, the first OBX wave report, and I'm calling this episode the Squirtie. Now, you'll learn why I'm calling this episode the Squirtie later, but let's talk a little bit provide a brief intro for you for the Wave Report. So the Wave Report, what is it? It's about all things waves, and I'm going to be providing you with some weather and wave information for locations in the Outer Banks this morning, and I'll be doing that every morning. But we're also going to explore surfing, water sports, anything having to do with waves. In addition, we're going to be exploring some beach lifestyle. I'm going to be fortunate enough now for a time to be living at the beach, and so I'm going to share some of my beach lifestyle tips and tricks and some fun at the beach with you. We're also going to be talking weather. There's a lot of crazy weather at the ocean. If you're in the ocean, if you're surfing, you're right there on the cutting edge of weather, and why not talk about weather, right? And last of all, we're going to have some episodes dedicated to climate, both the impacts of climate change at the beach, where impacts are very visible, a lot more visible these days. And we're also going to talk about solutions to climate change and ways to prevent the loss of the things we really care about. And I know with me, I love the beach, and I'm hopefully that's the same with you. I'm pretty sure everyone pretty much loves the beach. And so we're going to have a Save Our Shores focus for the OBX Wave Report. So a brief overview of the Wave Report. Again, I'm not live on location yet in the Outer Banks, but we will be. We'll be moving down to Manteo. Let's see, today is Friday, November 18th. So we are moving in 8 days, which is pretty exciting. So most importantly, though, we're going to have fun. We're going to do some goofy things. We're going to do some fun things. We're going to do some some pretty badass things. And I'm going to bring you along with me to do all these various things. Hopefully fun, informative, and help you live a healthier, more enjoyable lifestyle. Okay, so let's get into the Wave Report. I've got a little visual aid here, a pirate map of the Outer Banks that I'm going to be using for geolocation for my 3 reports that I'm going to be providing for you this morning. And the first Wave Report we are going to be providing for you. I'm going to get a little closer so I can show you where we are on the map. We're going to be providing a wave report for Jeanette Pier, which is in Nag's Head. Now, Nag's Head is the southern portion of this first island chain in the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks is a barrier island chain off the coast of North Carolina, for those of you who are not familiar with the Outer Banks. And Nag's Head is this section down here. It includes, it's south of Kitty Hawk and Kill Devil Hills, which is a famous location, the first flight location for the Wright Brothers Memorial. So Nag's Head is down here, and Jeanette Pier is right on the southern portion of Nag's Head. Now, the wave height this morning at Jeanette Pier is 1 to 2 feet, so pretty small, knee to thigh high. The period for the primary swell is 8.5 seconds, and the period for the secondary swell is 5 seconds. The wind speed is 13 miles per hour out of the northwest, so coming out of the northwest here, offshore wind. Not very strong, but not too pleasant because the air temperature at Jeanette Pier right now is 47 degrees Fahrenheit. So any brave souls that wants to surf need to thigh-high waves is going to be in some pretty chilly conditions. The water temperature, though, is 63, so relatively warm for you hardy souls out there. And the weather is sunny with some stray clouds. Now, for the second wave report for this morning, we're going to be doing S-turns. S-turns is down south of Nag's Head on Pea Island, which is across Oregon Inlet, one of the stormier inlets on the East Coast. And S-turns is north of an area that we surface called boilers, where an old ship wrecked and then rotted out. And the only thing that's left is this massive hulking boiler that even the ocean can't break apart or disintegrate. The thing is, big and tough, and it's lasted now for, I believe, over 150 years. So the wave conditions, though, at S-turns down here on Pea Island are today 2 feet, so about thigh high. The period is 10 seconds for the primary swell and 14 seconds for the secondary swell. Wind speed and direction is 14 miles per hour out of the northwest, so also an offshore wind. The air temperature is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so a little bit warmer, but not by too much. And the water temperature is 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The weather is clear skies over at S-turns on Pea Island. Now, going further south for our third wave report for the Outer Banks this morning, we're going to go all the way down to Hatteras Island, which is, I think you'll be able to see it, this turn here where it makes the turn to the west. The island chain makes a turn to the west, so kind of a right turn if you're looking south. And Hatteras Island is this larger chunk of land in the Outer Banks. And we're going to be providing a wave report for Frisco, which is the south-facing shore of Hatteras Island, which is on the south-facing shore of Hatteras Island. Now, Frisco is also seeing a wave height of 2 feet. The wave period is 10 seconds for the primary swell and 5 seconds for the secondary swell. The wind speed is also 14 miles an hour out of the northwest, which is also an offshore wind at this south-facing beach. And the air temperature is a little bit warmer at 49 degrees Fahrenheit. The ocean temperature is still 70 degrees Fahrenheit on November 18th, which is relatively warm, although with that air temperature so cold, you'll probably want to bring your wetsuit if you want to surf 2-foot swells. The weather is sunny with some distant offshore clouds visible to the south. So that's the basic overview for our wave conditions this morning. If you want more information on waves in any location, I recommend you go to magicseaweed.com, which is a comprehensive site on waves and conditions, and just all things surfing. So excellent website, excellent online resource for you. Okay, so now we're going to get into the special part of our wave report. And for today, we are going to do some exercises with you. I'm going to provide you with some surfing exercises to help you stay in surfing trim during periods where you may not be surfing, especially in the cold months, like in the late fall where we are now, and then throughout winter. A lot of people don't like to surf in the cold, which is completely understandable. But these exercises will help you stay fit for surfing, and there are going to be 13 exercises in total. And we're going to break these exercises down into low impact exercises, medium impact exercises, and high impact exercises. Now, the nice thing about these exercises that we'll be going through Most of them you can do indoors and on your own indoors at home without any equipment. There are 3 exercises that I'll be going over that do require some kind of equipment. And the main one is the balance board. And I'm going to show you our equipment for the balance board today. The balance board that we're using is a Revolution balance board. And balance boards are good aid to surf exercise to help you maintain your balance and form for surfing in off months, or if you've never surfed before, to help you train up for surfing. The other 2 exercises that we are going to be performing that require some kind of equipment are the pull-up and the dip. And we're going to be improvising our equipment for both of those. So you'll see that later. But all the other exercises, so 10 exercises you can do at home, many indoors if you decide to, so in the winter months. So 10 of these exercises you can just perform without any special equipment. Okay, so let's get to our low impact exercises. Before we start though, I'd just like to remind you that any of these exercises, you don't perform them if you have any kind of joint problems, muscle pain, back pain, knee pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, or if your doctor doesn't want you performing them for whatever reasons. Don't strain, don't hurt yourself, and also make sure you're doing them with the correct form. We're going to demonstrate them as best we can with the correct form, but in cases for most of these exercises, you're going to want to keep your core muscles nice and tight and not put your back in an out of neutral position. Just keep your back in the neutral position, keep your core muscles tight. Don't push your back out like into a bow or sag your butt, that kind of thing. All right, so first we're going to start off with a low impact exercises. Before we get going, I'm going to move around. So for some of these, I'm going to have to move the camera so I can get more depth of field. A lot of these exercises are ground exercises, so we can demonstrate this with the present camera position, I believe. So for the first exercise, we're going to demonstrate for you, I'm going to move the camera just a little bit so we can see the floor, is the plank. And the plank is a good exercise for surfing because it's going to help you maintain your strength in your core and build strength and maintain strength throughout your body. It's a good low impact exercise that you can perform from the upright position here, with arms fully extended, or from a down position with your arms flat on the floor. So I'm just going to demonstrate forearms here flat on the floor, if you can see them, kind of like in this kind of posture. The plank is often held for a number of seconds. If you've done any kind of yoga, you're familiar with the plank. If you're just starting out, maybe 20 seconds to a minute is a good period of time. So very basic, good exercise for maintaining surfing fitness. The second exercise that we're going to demonstrate is the 1 foot plank, which is a modified plank. And it's a really good exercise for surfing. For those of you who are avid surfers, you'll recognize that often you find yourself in this position on a surfboard when you're about to start to duck dive. And it's going to provide some added intensity to a plank. It's still a low impact exercise, but it provides intensity in the form of balance and increased impact on your core. And you can lift 1 foot and hold it, and lift the other foot and hold it for between, say, 20 seconds to a minute. And that's a good exercise for also a good low impact exercise for also maintaining surfing fitness. The third low impact exercise that we're going to demonstrate is a modified plank that I'm calling the duck dive plank. And it's a plank where we incorporate some movement to simulate a duck dive. Now, a duck dive, for those of you who are not avid surfers or just surfers who are familiar with the process of surfing. So when you surf, you have to paddle out through these waves that are coming towards you, and waves carry force and roll. And when you duck dive, you are pushing the surfboard under the water to get beneath the roll of the wave. And so from the side position, the roll is like this. And as you duck dive, you catch the energy of the wave, which is coming down and moving toward the rear, toward so the wave rolls like a barrel. And so you're catching the downward energy as it moves back. And if you time it correctly, you catch the downward energy, it pushes you down, and it actually propels you out the backside of the wave. So what we're teaching here as part of these exercises is to help build muscle memory for performing a duck dive. So we're going to do a modified plank that I'm calling the duck dive plank. And so the duck dive plank, the way it works is in the basic position, you start with a regular upright plank, and then you just move your hips higher, and then you move them down. And that practices some of the movement. Now, this is the basic form of the duck dive plank. The intermediate form is moving the hips higher, tucking the knees in, and then coming up. And then the advanced form is just a deeper version of that. So you push your hips higher, you come down, and then you stick your head up and arch a little bit, which is a lot like the movement that you use when you duck dive. So the duck dive plank. So and something that you can perform in repetition. Now, that's a bit of a higher impact exercise. It's in a way, it's almost like a modified push-up or a push-up with extra moves. So higher impact, but still in the low impact side. Now, for the fourth low impact exercise, and this is moving more toward medium impact range, is the corkscrew plank. So this is also an exercise that helps teach your muscles to perform actions that you would perform while surfing. And one of the things that you can do to help get your board under the water rapidly as you're paddling out and getting ready to duck dive is kind of corkscrew your board to pull the water up towards you and get your board under the water quick and deep, so you're going to come beneath the wave motion. So in putting together this video, I've also developed another kind of plank. I'm calling it the corkscrew plank, where you're going to practice the corkscrew motion as you would duck dive, but not in a real scenario here on dry land. So the corkscrew plank, again, starts out in the upright position. And what you do instead is you wiggle down to a low form plank, and then you wiggle back up as you go. And don't tilt too much, don't torque your shoulders too much. You're actually providing a lot more force against your shoulders and your upper back than you would be in the water. The water gives, the ground does not. So you can even just take it light, nice and light, and go down, and nice and light, and kind of wiggle back up. So I guess in a way it's a plank and a modified push-up, but the push-up is also a lot like a moving plank. And I wouldn't do too many repetitions of that, just maybe 10. It's more something to get your shoulders involved and get your muscle memory involved for corkscrewing that board under the water. Okay, and now for number 5, our fifth low impact exercise. We're going to do the balance board. I'm going to move the camera because camera angle right now is just going to get my feet. I want you to see my body more. for the balance board demonstration here. Now, balance board's a great exercise to use or perform while you're just hanging out, watching some television. It's a really low impact exercise that you can perform when you are doing something else. So, watching your anime, baseball game, golf, whatever. You can just, let's see, can you see the ground? I don't know if you can. Let's look here, the roller. All right, so I don't know if this is gonna, let's see. Sorry, I'm looking. Just want to check to make sure you can see the balance board. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, let's angle. There we go. All right, so the balance board is it's almost like a skateboard type structure without wheels and a roller. And the roller you just put on the ground, and very simple arrangement. You have 2 blocks on either end that keep the balance board guided on the roller. And you stand placing your feet on either end of the balance board and roll back and forth like this. And I think I got move this. So we got some room here. So it's but this is an exercise that you can perform as you're doing something else because it's pretty low impact. It just it just requires you to spend a little effort here getting up to balance on the roller. And you can see that you engage your knees, your hips, and you're working on your core, stay upright and stay balanced. It's an excellent exercise for surfing because it does mimic the motion that you would use while you're surfing on the wave and maintaining balance on your surfboard. And you can try and keep the balance board neutral, or you can move it out to the ends. You can try and get a little fancy and move quick or get a high angle. I'm not going to go too crazy because I don't have a lot of space on either side here, but you can move it side to side if you if you want to get nuts. But yeah, so there's a basic demonstration of your balance board, and as you can see, this is something you can do for hours, many minutes on end, if you decide to. So let's see. Oh yeah, so that's our low impact exercises. We're going to move on to some medium impact exercises now. Let's see if we can get this back to where we had it. Okay, so our low impact exercises are the plank, the standard plank, the 1-foot plank, the duck dive plank, the corkscrew plank, and the balance board. So moving on to our medium impact exercises. These are some exercises that are a bit more dedicated, that have more impact. We're not using any weights, so the level of impact on your body is not as much. But these are generally, heavier exercises that you would do as part of, say, for example, a calisthenics or an aerobics routine. And we talked about, we've already done some modified planks. We're going to do the most famous modified plank of them all for our first exercise, which is the push-up. And push-up is it's plank. You want to keep your hips not from sagging, but not too high. So in a neutral position, we want to keep our head up and just lower the body uniformly to a near ground position. I like to touch the ground with my nose and then come out to a full extension. And you can do 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. You can do multiple repetitions. It's a great exercise to add to any exercise routine. It's going to build a lot of upper body strength and a lot of core strength. So the push-up. The second exercise for medium impact that will aid in surfing, and I'm going to have to tie my shoe here, it's already come undone, is the flutter kick. So we want to do our best to preserve our hips and our back, and some of the ab exercises that are available can cause strain on your back. The flutter kick I have found is one of the lower strain medium impact exercises. So the flutter kick involves laying down flat on the ground, putting your feet out and keeping them in a range of about 6 inches off the ground, and then kicking your feet. And this is a motion that will help to increase your core strength, and you're also using your legs in a way that you would tend to use them while you're swimming. And you do have to do a lot of kicking while surfing. So the second medium impact in exercise is the flutter kick. Now, for the third one is another kind of plank that it's another innovation for the plank. I call it the butt wiggle plank. There's probably another name for it. I don't think I'm the first person that's ever done this, but it is also to help strengthen your core and your abdominal muscles through repetitious motion. And this is from a low plank with your forearms flat on the ground. And the butt wiggle plank is you simply pivot to the left and to the right as a repetition. So 1, 2, 3. And you can do 100 of these, 40 of these, whatever. You can do it for a long period of time as a way to provide another calisthenic exercise. So that's our third medium impact exercise, the butt wiggle plank, for lack of a better term. And last of all, we have the good old standard here, the jumping jack. And I'm going to go ahead and move the camera again because you can't really see me very well. All right. And I'm sure most of you know what a jumping jack is, but it is a good exercise for preparing for surfing or staying in surfing trim, as it's going to engage a lot of the muscles that you use as you swim. So I don't think you're really getting a good view of me here. So I'm going to alter the camera. There we go. So we're just going to really briefly demonstrate jumping jacks, pretty basic. You swing your arms, swing your legs, and jump. So the jumping jack, good medium. Another good medium impact exercise for staying in good surfing trim. So now I'm going to leave the camera in this position because we're moving on to the high impact exercises. We've got 2 high impact exercises that we can perform inside, and 2 that we're going to have to go outside for. So the first 2, we'll start off with jogging. And you can jog in place, you can also jog outside. In order to save your knees and your hips, I recommend, or I often go jogging either in the grass or in the sand. I try to avoid the concrete and the asphalt because the impact on your hips and on your knees is much greater. And you're also going to want to have shoes with some good padding when you go jogging, some good and for your knees, ankles, and hips and back when you jog, because jogging can be quite impactful, but it's also an excellent cardiovascular exercise, especially if you're jogging on the beach in the sand. I don't know if anyone else has, or any of you here have jogged on the beach in the sand, but it's a fantastic exercise. Today we're just going to demonstrate jogging in place inside, which you can also do if you don't want to go outside and brave the elements during the winter time. So very simple. We're going to do basic demonstration of jogging in place. You want to get your knees up, get a nice rhythm going, or you can speed it up. And you can do this for a long period of time, 15, 20 minutes. Some people like to go out and jog for 6 miles in the morning, or get basically an hour workout. Now, for the second exercise in the high impact range, I'm going to demonstrate to you a an exercise that is a modified burpee that I've innovated specifically for use to train for surfing. And the burpee is also a very high impact kind of exercise. Typically, you might do 10, maybe 20. If you're crazy, you might do 30 burpees. And a burpee is a multi-stage exercise that includes many movements. For the Squirtie, we're going to incorporate a turn as a part of the jump portion of the burpee. And when we do this turn, we're going to do it in a way that protects our back. So we're going to keep our core firm, and we're not going to over twist. Okay? So here is, I'm going to move our balance board here so that we can demonstrate the Squirtie. All right, so with a burpee, you start out with a hop. So you lift your hands in the air and take a hop, right? So we're going to go ahead and start out that way too. We're going to add a little bit of change in motion, but you start out with a hop and you go down into a squat thrust and push your feet out behind you and then perform a push-up. So that's the second portion. Now for the Squirtie, we're going to hop up, but we're going to hop up like we are launching ourselves on a surfboard. So we're going to place our feet underneath us and stand in a way that we are facing at a 90-degree angle from where we were facing when we were in the push-up position. All right. So does this remind you of something? Yeah, exactly. So you pivot and you turn 90 degrees, placing your feet parallel to each other as you stand up. And then you do the hop again, right? So the burpee hop. And then when you come back down, you're going to pivot again. So turning your torso, placing your feet, your hands on the ground as you go down so that you're in the surfing position again. And then you're going to thrust your feet out behind you so you get back into the push-up position and you are going to push up. So that's your Squirtie. So we're going to do a few repetitions of the Squirtie so that you guys can see it. So starting from the neutral position, hop, put our feet down, we're going to squat thrust, we're going to do the push-up, and we're going to turn into our surfing position. We're going to stand up, we're going to hop, we're going to put our hands down facing front, twist, push up, and back into the Squirtie position. So we're just going to do a series so that you can see it again. So without the talk. And that is the Squirtie. So very high intensity kind of workout, which will get you winded really quick. All right, so we'll take a little break before we go outside and demonstrate our last two exercises, which are the dip and the pull-up. So yeah, Squirtie is it's pretty fun, but it's meant to train your muscles and your muscle memory to really nail those launches as you're going down the face of a wave. When you're surfing, as you catch a wave, you paddle into the wave, and at the point where the wave starts to move you, where you start to feel the wave move you and the board without the need for you to continue to paddle, that's the point where you launch. You place your hands on the rails, you push down, you twist to plant your feet on the board, and in that singular motion, you establish your base on the surfboard, you establish your balance, and you transition from the prone position to the standing position. And the Squirtie is meant to engage all those muscles that you're going to use. as you do that. In fact, launching on the surfboard is a lot easier as far as the amount of weight you're pushing, because the board is already starting to fall in the wave. So getting that board underneath you is not as much of an effort as it is to perform the squirtie. So when you perform the squirtie and go move into that launch position, you're already getting your muscles engaged and doing something that'll make the stand-up portion of the launch on the surfboard feel a lot easier physically. Now, as far as the balance goes, balance is something that everyone who surfs knows you're going to have to learn to establish. It's kind of like riding a bike, but you can get rusty much faster than riding a bike. So yeah, but that'll ease the transition on your launch, which is one of the most challenging parts of surfing. While involving surfing fundamentals. Okay, so let's go outside, and we're going to do the last two exercises outside. For the OBX Wave Report, we are going to be doing a lot of things in the great outdoors. And so I figured for today, it would be good to start off with a little improvised use environmental to perform dip. Looks like we are having connection issues. Oh, here we go. All right, so first off, we are going to demonstrate the dip, and hopefully you guys can see this pretty well. I'm up on the playground jungle gym near my home, and we are using this to improvise a pair of dip bars. So this is a stairway with two parallel railings, which are perfect for a dip. Now, a dip is a pretty high intensity exercise. It involves a lot of upper body strength, particularly your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, and your arms. And this is an excellent kind of exercise to increase your upper body strength. We've done a lot with upper body today, but this is one of the best high impact exercises for upper body. Again, if you got any shoulder issues, or any kind of musculoskeletal issues in your upper body, don't perform this exercise. This is an intense exercise. So with a dip, you want to be up between two parallel bars. You're going to come down. I don't know how well you can see it. So your chest is between the bars, and then you're going to push up. And I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see this a little bit better. We'll move it back. There we go. Get a better position here for recording the dip. So again, let's alter that just a little bit here. There we go. Okay. So again, so you're going to be in the upright position. You're going to come down, and then you're going to knock it out. You're going to get your chest nice and low. And so that is a demonstration of the dip. And you can do, I don't know, 10, 12, 15, 20, depending on your level of fitness, maybe 5. It is a very intense exercise that involves your entire body weight. So that is our third high impact exercise. And now for a fourth, we're going to move over here to some bars. I'm just going to walk down.
So for our last exercise, we're going to demonstrate the pull-up. And you can see we have got the sun right there. That's going to be pretty bright. Okay, so let's see. Can you guys see this? All right. So what we're going to demonstrate here is an improvised use of these hand-over-hand climbing platforms to perform pull-ups. So now, in an ideal situation, you're going to want to have both of your hands at shoulder width or maybe wider to perform a pull-up. So this particular pull-up won't be perfectly ideal, but it does show how you can use things in your neighborhood to improvise and use a pull-up without, or perform a pull-up without needing a gym or anything else, which I think is in the spirit of our wave report. So with a pull-up, I'm sure you guys have done this before, you're just gonna hang and you're gonna pull up. You're not gonna overarch your back as you pull up, but you're gonna take a full extension back down. And we're gonna repeat this, until you feel tired, maybe doing 3 sets of 10 or as many as you can, each for each repetition. So, all right, so there are our surf training exercises. We have 13 of them. They include some low impact for you, mostly planks, some medium impact, which provides a nice variety, and some high impact exercises that also help strengthen your upper and lower body and your cardiovascular system for surfing, to help maintain fitness in those months or those periods where you're unable to continue to surf. And so we're heading back to our little abode here. We are coming to the end of our first OBX Wave Report. So I appreciate you guys joining me. And I guess we're coming to the conclusion. I should be back tomorrow at about 9 a.m. And I look forward to seeing you guys. So thank you for joining the OBX Wave Report. And don't forget to do what you can to save our shores. Take care.